My name is Roy. I lived in Seattle, Washington. I was born and raised here. Figured I'd do a little bit of a talk to get people, I guess, to know me a little better, I guess. My weird, quirky sense of humor. Basically, I grew up in the ghetto area of Seattle. Rough kind of part of town. My parents are very strong Baptists, a very religious family, while at the same time I wound up living a very sheltered life, and so there wasn't a whole lot of outside stimulation that was allowed inside of the house. So for me, my musical taste, there's a reason why. For me, I will start off by saying I have a 132 IQ, so I'm very smart, but at the exact same time, I have a very big rebellious streak. That runs right down the middle of my back. And so it just makes it really tough. Makes me kind of this tough mixture of things. I've always had multiple interests in a lot of things. It's like with music. I have taste that's all over the board. My taste in movies are all over the board. I have multiple interests and things that I like doing and everything else. So I'm very complicated person, I guess, because I have so many interests. I even have interests that conflict with each other, but what can I say? I like the things, so it is what it is. Anyway, so as a child, growing up, because it was very sheltered and it was a very rough, bad neighborhood, I had very few friends because most of the people in the neighborhood were troublemakers. And my parents didn't want me getting into trouble. So, like I said, there was a very limited amount of outside stimulation. So, for me, as a music lover, music became a very good friend. Loneliness was another friend. It just kind of came by, and I enjoy loneliness and solitude, and at the same time, I also kind of get tortured by it. So it's sort of I don't know. You can figure that one out for yourself. But anyway, so my mother. I'll start with my mom. My mom. She became an influence on me because I started to really... I would hear music from my mother. My mother listened to two types of music, really. She listened to gospel, and she listened to, like, 50s pop music. So I grew up hearing stuff like, well, like myself. For the heck of it, my three favorite gospel hymns, I'm not going to try to play them, but just to give you little snatches, would be like, Blessed assurance, Jesus is mine. Oh, what a foretaste of glory divine. Heir of salvation, purchase of God. Born in His Spirit, washed in His blood. This is my story, this is my song, praising my Savior all the day long. This is my story, this is my song, praising my Savior all the day long. Which I could have done that better if I was actually standing up, but anyway, so Blessed Assurance is one of my favorites. Another one would probably be tied. This would probably be tied in my three most favorite hymns would be like, Take my hand, precious Lord, lead me on till I stand. I'm tired, I'm weak, I am worn. Through the storms, through the night, lead me on to the light. Take my hand, precious Lord, lead me home. Or another one would be, lead me gently home, Father, lead me gently home. If I should fall along the wayside, lead me gently home. Lead me gently home, Father, lead me gently home. If I should fall along the wayside, lead me gently home. So, stuff like that. Or, on the other hand side, from my mother, I would pick up stuff like, see, my mother, what it was is she had like a package of old 78s, and I got into these records and I was playing them, and like one of the songs, like the one I'm going to do right now, she had this 78 and I used to listen to it over and over and over again, and as a kid, and I loved it. And it wasn't long before, unfortunately, me being, I think I was 5 or 6 at the time, I dropped it and I broke it. And boy, I got in trouble for that. But the fact is I felt really bad about it getting broken anyway, because I loved the song. And so, anyway, so that was where I picked up a lot of the stuff like, let me go, let me go, let me go, woman, let me be, set me free from your spell. You made me weak, you cut me deep, oh, I can't sleep, woman, I was cursed from the first day I fell. You don't want me, but you want me to go on, oh, won't you? How I pray that you will say that we're through. Please turn me loose, oh, what's the use? Oh, you don't care, woman, let me go, let me go, oh, let me go. Me, but you want me to go, oh, won't you? How I pray that you'll say that we're through. Please turn me loose, oh, what's the use? Oh, you don't care, woman, let me go. Let me go, oh, let me go, oh, let me go, oh, let me go, please let me go. So, I grew up listening to stuff like that, or I'm going to do this right. The last time I did this, one of the biggest mistakes that I made was I decided to do bar chords, because some jackass one day had said, well, you people that play power chords, they only play power chords because they can't play bar chords. Bull, I know all of my bar chords, I just don't use them anymore. I grew up playing bar chords, and then I discovered power chords, and I went, to me, you know, for an example, you have this sound, or you have this. I'll take that bo diddly chugga 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 over that wimpy power, bar chord any day. So here we go. All day, all night, oh Mary Ann, down by the seaside, oh sit and say. Even the little children love Mary Ann, down by the seaside, oh sit and say. Mary Ann, oh won't you marry me? We could have a bamboo hut and brandy in the tea. Leave your fat old mama home, she never will say yes. And my ma, she don't know now, she can guess. Oh hell yes, all day, all night, oh Mary Ann, down by the seaside, oh sit and say. Even the little children love Mary Ann, down by the seaside, oh sit and say. Down by the seaside, oh sit and say. Down by the seaside, sift and sand. So anyway, so that was my mother's influence, a lot of that 50s pop and stuff like that. So that was the sort of stuff that I heard from my mother. My father, on the other hand, he listened to, he listened to rock and roll and country. I grew up listening to Heart's Little Queen album, Bad Girls from Donna Summers. Love both of those albums extremely to this day. Let me see. The Mamas and the Papas, Johnny Cash, Merle Haggard, Tom T. Hall, Robert Rodriguez, Freddie Fender, Mickey Gilley, Hank Snow, a whole lot of people, just a lot of country and stuff. And then my dad got me into the Animals, and I absolutely loved the Animals. I was obsessed with them for about 3 years. He had 3 albums, and in those 3 years that I listened to these albums that he had, I probably played those albums every single day for 3 years without missing hardly ever a day of not playing them and singing to them. So predominantly from the beginning, I never played any music. I didn't play any musical instrument at the time. My musical instrument was always my voice. So I always thought of everything as a vocalist. So everything to me was always about the singers themselves and literally the songs, the words, the melodies. So to me, I never had this stigma against anything. So I was always very open-minded and very broad-minded. And so what happened was the Animals brought this blues rock into my life. And even though I'm not going to do an Animals song, or at least one that was covered by the Animals, I'm going to do a different song. This is actually Big Bill Broonzy's I Can't Be Satisfied. Here, baby, I tell you what I want you to do. Won't you treat me, woman, like I treat you? Lord, I can't be satisfied, and I can't be satisfied, and I can't mistreat her, not to please nobody's mind. Got high-cut stockings, low-cut shoes, woman, I ain't putting on a show for you. Lord, I can't be satisfied, and I can't be satisfied, and I can't mistreat her, not to please nobody's mind. Dishes in my kitchen, rinse on my door. Good girl told me she can't use me no more. Lord, I can't be satisfied, and I can't be satisfied, and I can't mistreat her, not to please nobody's mind. Ain't this rich? I gotta pay that bitch for everything I get. Lord, I can't be satisfied, and I can't be satisfied, and I can't mistreat her not to please nobody's mind, and I can't mistreat her not to please nobody's mind. I know I can't mistreat her not to please nobody's mind. So I pick up this blues influence through the Animals and later on through the Rolling Stones. But basically my father was very influential in bringing that to me. My brother, my oldest brother, he brought me the Beatles and the Stones. Oh, when you're sitting there in your silver poster chair, talking to some rich folks that you know. Shit, I hadn't played this in a while. Oh, when you're sitting there in your silver poster chair, talking to some rich folks that you know. Well, I'll be in my basement room. Oh shit, that's not how it goes. I'm singing the wrong verse. Oh, when you're sitting there in your silver poster chair, talking to some rich folks that you know. Well, I hope you won't see me in my ragged company, 'cause you know I could never be alone. So take me down, little Susie, take me down. I know you think you're the queen of the underground, and you can send me dead flowers every morning. Send me dead flowers by the mail. Send me dead flowers to my wedding, and I won't forget to put roses on your grave. Oh, when you're sitting back in your rose pink Cadillac, making bets on Kentucky Derby Day. Well, I'll be in my basement room with a needle and a spoon, and another girl can take my pain away. So take me down, little Susie, take me down. I know you think you're the queen of the underground, and you can send me dead flowers every morning. Send me dead flowers by the mail. Send me dead flowers to my wedding, and I won't forget to put roses on your grave. So, my brother got me into the Beatles and the Stones, and of course everything that I ever got into, I had to always dig into everything. So I wound up learning the histories of all the artists that I started studying, and because I wanted to know more about them, I wanted to know more about the songs, I wanted to know how they came about. And of course that kind of made me into a historian at the same time, because in order to play a song, you have to really understand the time period around it. You know, that's why I can sit down and do something like, well, I'm a good old rebel, now that's just shit. Well, now I'm a good old rebel, now that's just what I am. For this fair land of freedom, I do not care a damn. I'm glad I fought against it, and I only wish we'd won, but I don't want no pardon for nothing what I done. Well, I hate the Yankee nation, and I hate the Yankee nation and everything they do. I hate the Freedmen's Bureau and the uniforms are blue. I hate the nasty eagle with all his bragging fuss, but the lying thief Cleveland Yankees, I hate them worse and worse. But I followed old Marsh Roberts for 4 years nigh about. Got wounded in 3 places and I starved at Point Lookout. I caught neither rheumatism, just camping in the snow. But I killed me a chance of Yankees and I wished I'd killed some more. 300,000 Yankees lie stiff in southern dust. We got 300,000 before they conquered us. They died of southern fever and southern steel and shot. And I wished it was 3 million instead of what we got. Now I can't take up my musket and fight them down no more. But I ain't gonna love them, and that's for certain sure. I don't want no pardon for what I wasn't in, and I won't be reconstructed, and I don't give a damn. Because you can sing songs like that out of the Civil War. Obviously an old Southern song. And you can sing it with the same amount of passion that needs to go into it. If you understand history, you can understand. I'm not saying anything about who is right, who is wrong, or anything else. I've always respected, people are probably going to be mad at me. I fly the stars and bars. Why do I fly the stars and bars? Because I'm proud of my Southern relatives. I may not have agreed with what they fought about, but hell, they fought hard. I mean, it was the bloodiest war in all of American history. We've never had more casualties suffered ever in any war, as a country. And it's not just because of the fact that it was all Americans that died, but even if you look at the totals of the death count on both sides, it was bloody, it was horrible, they fought, and I respect them. They might have been wrong, but hell, they fought all the way, and they didn't give an inch. And you got to respect someone that still does that, no matter what. At the same time, going back to the music, so I would go over to my grandmother's house. And my mother's mom, she used to babysit me a lot. And she had a record player. But she had I think it was either 10 or 12 records. It didn't take me long to play all the 10 or 12 of those records over and over and over again until most of them were Christmas albums. I think they were 5 or 6 Christmas records, and the rest were also gospel music, except for one which was all orchestra. I can't think of the name of the orchestra now. I have the album now. It's actually a good album, but it was the only album that was secular that she had. Otherwise, she had the Covenant Gospelairs. Now, the Covenant Gospelairs were awesome. They were a Christian music group. They existed from, I don't know, somewhere around the mid-1950s into the 60s, and they won awards for their singing and everything else. And I was really proud to find out from my grandmother that the first tenor in the Covenant Gospelairs was our cousin. He was a relative, and I thought that was great. So I would sit there listening to the Covenant Gospelairs and everything until I couldn't take it anymore. But from them, I remember hearing stuff like, "Every time I feel the Spirit moving in my heart, I will pray. Every time I feel the Spirit moving in my heart, I will pray." And it was great. But I got bored after a while of listening to those albums over and over and over again, until finally this one day I bitched. I was depressed, sad, and Grandma goes, "Well, what's wrong?" I go, "I can't take it anymore. I played all those records so many times that I just can't do it anymore, Grandma. I'm bored." And I remember she goes, "Well, I do have a record player up in the attic." Oh, yeah. In this dusty, cold, unheated attic that I would stand in the wintertime. And it was about 2 degrees warmer in that attic than it was outside. But God, I loved it. I'd stand up there in that attic, and she had this old Edison. Now, you can't miss an Edison. You crank them Edison up, and they used to come with these records. Edison records are about that thick, and they are heavy. And, I mean, we're talking literally, you could hit somebody over the head with one of those things and knock them flat out. They are heavy. Yeah. But the Edisons, they were bastards. The guys that ran that company were bastards. They not only had to set up their records to use a special needle to play them, but they cheated because their records are not at 78 RPMs. They are actually at 79 and a quarter, I believe it is, or a half. I can't remember. It's like somewhere in there. So it plays faster. So the problem is, of course, if you try to play an Edison on a regular 78 player, it doesn't sound right. It sounds slow. Ah, those bastards. So, but I would sit there, and my grandmother taught me, her Edison had this little switch, so you could switch it from being the Edison to a regular 78, and she had two needles. One was gold and the other one was silver, and I don't remember now which one was the Edison needle, but the other one was for regular 78s. So I would sit up there, and her records were, which, like the Edisons, the thing about the Edisons was that some of these were remake songs that were taken from wax cylinders. Wax cylinders predated all records. They were little cylinders, they had wax on them, and you put them on and you could play them. And it was the beginning, really, of recording. And it was cool. Well, Edison would take some of those old cylinders, which we're talking 1890s, and they'd reproduce them onto these Edison records sometimes. So I got to hear a lot of these tracks out of the 1890s and everything, and I thought that was just freaking cool. Then I would sit down, and after I'd play the Edisons, I'd switch the needle and I'd put on these other old 78s, which my grandma's 78s, the oldest that I know of that she had besides the Edisons. Edisons are hard, like I said, they're hard to date them because they did a lot of that reproducing of these old songs and everything from out of the 1890s. But these records, I know from the dates. She had Zonophone records. Zonophone records lasted for 3 years. They only produced records in 3 years. They were single-sided, and they came out in 1903, 1905, and 1907. I have some of those from 1903, 1905, and 1907. So her records pretty much span from 1903 to about 1927, just before the Great Depression hit. So I got to hear all of these recordings and things from all of these different people, which is how I came across rockabye and stuff like that. And I won't play rockabye because obviously everybody's heard it off the other thing. But I picked up, a lot of stuff like that, and I learned a lot of things vocally by listening to a lot of these old singers because they were real singers. There wasn't any falsity. Because of having to sing into a horn, you had to sing loud. There was no microphones for your voice or anything else. So they sang powerful and strong, and so I would sing along with them. And then it got to the point where I could do things like Jeff Stevens in the 1960s. He formed the band that started playing a lot of stuff that was like 1920s and earlier music. And that's where I picked up Lily Marlene from, was from Jeff Stevens. And that's why the only two versions I know are the two verses that he sings. The song actually has something like, I don't know, like 90 or 100 or something. I don't remember how many hundreds of verses. The song went through World War I, World War II, and all the soldiers added verses. So one of these days I'm going to have to go through and pick the verses I like and pair out a version. But that's where that came from. Jeff Stevens would show up, and Jeff Stevens was a famous songwriter. He had hits in the 1960s with the Yardbirds, and in fact I think he wrote Heart Full of Soul for the Yardbirds. But one of his most famous songs would be There's a kind of hush all over the world tonight. All over the world, people just like us are falling in love. So listen very carefully, closer now, and you will see what I mean. Da-da-da-da. It isn't a dream. Da-da-da-da. The only sound that you will hear is when I whisper in your ears, I love you. Da-da-da-da. Forever and ever.